All right, hello, rockers, rollers, and heavy metal maniacs. It's the Meister from Brews and Tunes. Cheers. I am
Oh,
beside myself with
cheers.
excitement today. Cheers. I am besides myself with excitement today. I am chatting with somebody I would argue is the greatest American rock drummer, the most inspirational, the most influential. Of course, I am talking with the indelible Mr. Carmine Appice. Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I like that intro. That was good. American. The first time somebody said American, I never thought of it as American because you think of, like John Bonham and Ian Place and, Stewart Copeland and all. He's American, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
He's the most influential reggae rocker.
Yeah,
I
yeah, definitely. But
I love that. I love that band.
yeah, oh yeah, the Police were a fantastic band. Yeah, what a great band. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, hands down, I think, yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this just the other day. Like, your music has been with me my entire life. Um,
Oh,
from, I was a kid of the 70s and 80s, and so,
right.
childhood, I listened, I remember walking around the neighborhood with my transistor radio, listening to Rod Stewart in the late 70s, elementary school. And then, yeah, as
Oh,
I got older, especially high school, I got into heavy rock, and yeah, and then I discovered Vanilla Fudge and Cactus, and your work with Jeff Beck, and then kind of
yeah.
simultaneously Blue Murder, and
Yeah.
yeah. So it just, yeah, constant, and then
It's,
later,
it's funny. It's funny with Blue Murder when we went to Japan. There was a Burn magazine had an article that said the greatest trios of rock and had Jimi Hendrix and the Cream, Beck, Bogert Appice, and Blue Murder.
oh wow,
I
nice.
said, "Wow, look at this! I'm in two of them, two out of four."
That's impressive. Yeah, yeah, and definitely, and rightly so. I mean, yeah, like it's really incredible, like, your the breadth of work that you've done.
Yeah,
But
thank you.
and now, of course, I was lucky enough to get an advance copy of the new Cactus album, which
Yeah.
comes out, I believe, June 7th from
Yes,
Cleopatra
yes.
Records.
Uh-huh.
And of course, that is Temple of Blues, Influences and Friends. And if I may say, pardon my language, but holy shit, what a phenomenal album. I mean,
Oh,
it
thank you.
really has blown me away. I mean, it's
Oh,
incredible.
that's so great. Did you get the full album pictures and everything, or just the download?
I got the download. I'm planning on pre-ordering the vinyl.
Because the
I'm a vinyl junkie, so
that's what the cover looks like.
yeah. Oh, yes, yes. Very
Yeah.
nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
I tried when we did it. I talked to the art director. I said, I want to make the cover like Sergeant Pepper, but on this album, I wanted everyone that played on the album to be on the cover. So originally, he did I lost my height here. Originally, he did the album with us, with the outfits like Sergeant Pepper.
Mm.
I said,
Oh,
no, no, I don't want it to be like exactly like. I said, just the idea of having everybody on there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they did it right, and then after the whole album was done, I noticed that my friends at Foghat, they got onto the Billboard Blues charts at number one, and
Oh,
Robin
yeah.
Trower was number one. I said, man, they were around when we were around as Cactus. We were blues rock too. So I talked to the label owner. It's totally his idea to
Oh,
do this. He came to me and said, I want to do an album with all the influences that Cactus had on musicians.
oh, cool.
I said, okay. So so we did it. But anyway, so I said to him, we got to market this as a blues album like everybody else. Maybe we'll get on the blues charts and, we might have a better shot at some sort of blues nomination, than the
Right.
Grammys. Because my whole life I never had one. I was going for one 2 years ago. Last year with my instrumental album, with the Piece Perdomo instrumental album.
Oh,
And and they put me in a regular pop album. Now, come on, I'm in their instrumental album with heavy guys on it. I'm in there with Taylor Swift. I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
really not fair. It was
No.
an instrumental. It should be instrumental category. But anyway, so he said, that's a great idea. Let's market it as blues. Let's change it to Temple of Blues. I said, yeah. I
Yeah.
said, let's keep the influences and friends on it. Because some people were influenced by Cactus, some people were just friends of mine, you know?
Nice.
I said, well, if we're going to call it Temple of Blues, let's change the artwork to keep everybody on it, but make it in a temple, in front of a temple. Great. So then all the artwork is temple vibed. And the inside you open up, there's temples and all the credits and more temple stuff.
Cool.
And it came out so cool. It's just little by little, things happen to influence it, to make it what it is, the finished product.
That's really cool. And I'm glad I was going to ask you like kind of how this all came to be. And I mean, you just said, yeah, the record guy, the owner, it was his idea to do this.
Yes, it was his idea because, I did the two instrumental albums. And I've done other things for him, like he does these tribute albums, different ones. I've done them here in my studio. And when I did the instrumental albums, the sound of them were really good. My engineer is just a freaking monster. He's a co-producer on this.
Oh, okay.
So he said, after listening to the instrumental album, I would love to see you do an album with all the influences that Cactus had on all different musicians, on all the generations kind of thing. I said, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And he said, can you do it? I thought of my Guitar Zeus album. I don't know if you ever heard that or heard about it. Did you ever hear about it?
Yeah, great.
I got 37 tracks of guitar players. I said, yeah, I think I could do that. So I said, well, give me a budget and we'll do it. And the way it started was right here in my studio.
Oh, wow.
Usually the drummer has to play to something. I just, with Parchment Farm, I sat in my head and I thought about it. I played along and I had the whole arrangement going in my head. I put the click on and I went for it.
Nice.
That was good. One way or another, I did the same thing. And then I said, you know what? I got to find a better way to do this. This is really hard because I couldn't really let loose. I mean, even though it sounds like I did, I probably held back a little bit on these tracks because of that reason. And I didn't want to do them over again. So I said, there's got to be a way to do this. So I thought, you know what? If I put the click down and then I kind of sing the song to myself, except myself, I'll put it on the machine with the click. So like with Evil, I would go bam, bam, down, 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 that drum fill, riff, down, 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 that verse, long way from home, down, down. And I went through the whole song like that.
Oh, wow.
I go solo, 20 bars, second part of the solo, back to the verse, back to the chorus, end. I had the whole thing down. I think maybe one day I'll release that with the drums and that.
Oh, that'd be fascinating. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, and that actually worked.
Huh.
Okay. Once I did the track, I finished the track, I sent it to my singer, Jim Stately. He played guitar, sing, and harmonica. So he would do whatever it needed: guitar, rhythm guitar, maybe a little solo, harmonica, and vocal. And we'd send it to my bass player, James Caputo, from Cactus, and he would play the bass. Now I had a demo. Then I called my friends.
Nice.
Ted, want to do this? Definitely. Which track? One way or another. Okay, send him the demo. Okay, cool. Send me the stems. I send him the stems. You know what stems are, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I send him the stems. So people that don't know, it's the drums, the bass, the keyboard, everything's separate on separate tracks. He did that. And then I would call up the guys from King's X. I knew they were big Cactus fans because I toured with them. They were playing Cactus music in their tour bus.
Oh, cool.
And they played on my Guitar Zeus record, and they were good friends of mine. And so I called up Doug. I said, look, I want you to play one way or another. Ted's going to be the guitarist, me and you. I want you to sing it too. Bass and sings. Cool? No problem. I called up Ty Tabor. I want you to play on Restrictions. Okay? Yeah, I got Phil Susan on it, and Ty and myself and my singer.
Nice.
So that was that. And then I started thinking, all right, Evil. I asked Doug to play Evil, the bass, because it was soulful. Doug is a soulful bass player. And then I said, all right, let's get McCarty, the original guitar player, to play on that. We got him on Parchment Farm, along with Billy Sheehan on bass, who Billy said anything to tribute Tim, I'm there. He did that track. He did Olio with a bass solo, just like Tim, And then I got Parchment Farm. I got Bonamassa playing the solo, Jim McCarty playing the rhythm and the riffs, the solos in between the vocal. I got my singer playing harmonica and singing, and track came out amazing, you know.
Yeah. Oh, it's
So
phenomenal.
on Evil, I said, well, let me get McCarty on Evil because he loves that track. I'll get Doug on bass. When I told McCarty I'm going to get Dee Snyder to sing it because I know Dee was a fan. As soon as I called Dee up, he says, I'm in, you know. And it was great. So he did a great vocal. And originally McCarty didn't want to do it. He said, oh man, that guy from Twisted Sister. I said, yeah. I said, believe me, he'll sound a lot like our original singer Rusty.
Yeah.
Right. And when he heard it, he goes, man, I can't believe it's the same guy. I said, I know, he loves this song.
Yeah.
He sang the hell out of it and did the video, and then McCarty did the video with him. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
you know?
really cool.
You know, and then you know, so little by little, everything like that. Like I knew Van Halen were big Cactus fans, right? So they were saying that Alex told me, or Eddie told me, one of them told me, maybe both of them, that the template for Hot for Teacher was parchment foam. Because that fast double bass drum wasn't really, nobody did that in rock yet. You know, I did it in 1970, you know, and it was like really fast. So they used that in Hot for Teachers. Okay. And then you heard the song Eruption, but not a song.
Yeah.
But it's just like a chord, Eddie, then it goes bam, bam, another chord, Eddie. They got that from the beginning song Swim, Let Me Swim in Cactus' first album.
Oh.
We did that, McCarty did it, but it was shorter. It just went brown, 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 and then into the song. So on this album, I extended it so you can hear the two together, you know, and hear both of them and say, wow, they are similar. Similarities of both. So I made it strong, longer, and I said, oh, who am I going to get to play that kind of guitar? So I thought Doug Aldrich. He's an old friend of mine. So I called Doug. I told him about it, and he was a Cactus fan. I didn't know that. A lot of these friends I thought were friends, they were Cactus fans.
Nice.
You know, so that next generation after Cactus, you know?
Right.
So I said, so just, you know what Eruption is? He goes, yeah. I said, just play it like you would smoke on it, and just smoke it, and then hit the chord, bam, bam, and hit the next chord, smoke, and then we'll go into the song. I said, great. So he did it, came out fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, and he played the rest of the song great. Malcolm Mendoza, who played with Whitesnake and a few other guys like that, he did this funny thing that Tim did at the beginning, go into that song. And I said to him, are you a Cactus fan? He goes, yeah, man, I love Tim and Cactus. And I said, I knew it because he did that stupid little thing that only Tim did, you know? So there's a lot of that going on, you know? And
that's cool.
Warren Haynes, we did the blues. I said, man, who could I get to do that kind of blues? I got to call Warren, you know? So me and the bass player, I put the track down first with the drums. The bass player put his part down. He played with Government Mule. He said, I'm going to build it up and down, follow your drums. But I know once we do that, Warren will follow us, and I know how he plays. I said, okay, great. So we gave it to him. And Warren not only played guitar, he sang it and played guitar at the same time.
Nice.
So he got that vibe, you know, you only get when you're live.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So when all this said and done, I mean, it's coming out great. I said, I got to get a female on here. Who should I get? I tried to call Lita. She never answered me. She must have been on the road. She's always been never good at calling back, you know. But yeah, I love her. She's like a sister. You know, she's great talent.
Oh yeah.
And but you know, she lives out in the middle of nowhere in Arizona, and she has her dogs and horses and stuff. So I wasn't hurt by her not calling back. You know, it's happened before. And then we talk later. She goes, oh, I'm sorry, I've been busy, and blah blah. It's no big deal, you know. But I said, I got to get somebody. I did this rock fantasy camp in LA, and the tour manager of that was Brett Lightning,
Oh,
right?
yeah, nice.
And I knew she played with Vixen.
Yeah.
And I went and listened to a bunch of her solos, and she sounded great. So I called her and said, look, I need a female on this record. I'd love it to be you. She goes, oh, man, I'd be honored with all these great players. So she did Rock and Roll Children and the verses. And the solo was done by Vernon Reid from Living Color.
Oh, nice.
But his solo was so outrageous that we had to put a keyboard, rhythm keyboard following his chords to make it make sense. It's just with a bass player, Rudy Sarzo, it didn't make as much sense, but the keyboard really tied it together, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
So,
interesting.
so
Yeah.
there's a lot of crazy stuff that happened, you know?
That's
And
wild.
in the end, I said, man, this thing's great. Then I gave it to my engineer, Pat Regan, who co-produced, and he made it sound so good. My drum set on there is killing,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
It's
And
such a well-produced album.
yes, and everything sounds great, you know, everything sounds great. I never got anyone to say, hey, I can't hear my guitar, or I can't hear my bass, or, you know, he got everything so you can hear everything. It was right in your face, but it had ambience like a live gig, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I was, after I heard it, I texted my brother and I said, you got to get a copy of this album when it comes out. It's like, because we're fans of similar music. And I said,
Yeah.
and he said, well, tell me about it. I said, okay, well, if you made a list of all your favorite musicians, they're on this album. Like that's like your favorite musicians.
Yeah,
That's
well,
the
great.
list.
Thank you.
Bonamassa,
Yeah,
and of
yeah,
course Appice, and then, but yeah, just Doug Pinnick and yeah, Ty
yeah,
Tabor. I mean, all my favorites. Like both my brother and I have very similar tastes. Like,
yeah.
yeah, just listen to this list of musicians, and it's like, yeah, it's your favorite. It's your top, musicians of all time. They're all in one place.
Well,
And
you look more like Mike Portnoy,
oh, I do.
you know, with the long beard and the
Yeah,
long hair. And
yeah.
actually, every interviewer I interviewed has the same kind of look today. You
Oh, really?
know, they have the
All a bunch of
beard and the straight
rockers.
hair. Yeah, I mean, you know, they're more associated with the heavy, you
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
buzzsaw guys, you know?
Right, right.
You
Oh, I'm
know,
an old school blues,
yeah,
and I mean, like I was telling you before, I mean, uh, when I discovered, I was in high school, I think, maybe junior high, when I discovered Vanilla Fudge. I mean, it just
well,
took me back. I mean, it just took me aback. I was blown
yeah,
away. I had never heard anything like that. And then, years later, with the internet, when that finally came around, and with YouTube and seeing you guys
yeah,
playing on Ed Sullivan in
yeah, yeah.
1968,
That was unbelievable.
that was incredible. Did
Yeah.
you have and I know we're kind of switching gears here a little bit, but when you were on that, did you have a sense of how powerful you guys really were? And like,
No, because that's what we did every night,
okay.
you know. But I tell you what, when we look at it now, there's some internet stuff on YouTube where you have new people that never heard Vanilla Fudge, and
Mm.
they watched that video, and there was a guy and a girl, and they rated from 1 to 10, and they were like so blown away. Said, "This is 11.
Yeah.
This is beyond anything we've ever heard," and they loved it. Then you get another guy who's some black dude who'd never heard Vanilla Fudge, and he's watching the same thing, and he says, "Whatever that drummer's on, I want some."
Nice.
It's funny because
Yeah.
we were straight on that show. We were just full of energy. But
Yeah.
the funny thing with that show was some other guy asked me when we came down in the elevator to go on stage. You have elevator operators, not the push button elevators yet. And we said to the guy, "How many people watch this show?" He says, "It's a black dude." He goes, "Oh, about 50 million." And my stomach just went, like, you know. And I was a little nervous until I got actually on the drum set. And then when I got on the set, I was fine.
Nice.
And I actually, when I look at it now, I was actually attacking the drum set.
Yeah.
I was not playing the drum. I was attacking them, And back then, the other guys that went on that Sullivan show, the Beatles, they were great. But, Ringo's,
Right.
what do you call it? The Doors,
Oh, yeah.
All these Dave Clark Five, and then we come on. It was like attacking everything. It was like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah. Yeah, you
And
guys.
the next day we sold 250,000 singles
Wow.
and albums.
I
Unbelievable,
that's incredible. Yeah. I like the fact that you said yeah, you guys committed crimes against your instruments that night. I
We
think.
did. We did. I mean, it was Tim Bogert looked like a freaking like a puppet,
Yeah. Yeah, he
It
kind of
was
looked
I was
possessed
I was
almost.
like, and that twirl I was doing hit the single, John Bonham used to goof on that with me when we played together. He'd look at me and laugh and go, "Watch this," just as a goof, one musician against the other. Then years later, I meet Tommy Lee and he's doing that. I go, "Hey, where'd you get that?" I got it from John Bonham. I said, "Well, indirectly he got it from me, and he's like, dude, I got it from Bonham. Okay. After the tour, come to my house. I'll show you a couple of videos. I showed him the Ed Sullivan show, and I showed him the Ed Sullivan show the next time when I had the big drums that I got for John Bonham, and I played the end of the shotgun. It was just like rock and roll, and he was just like freaked out.
Yeah.
He said, "Dude, you did all this before Bonham." I said, "I told you."
Yeah.
I mean,
I've
nobody has it all. We all steal from each other. I mean, that wasn't an attitude that he did it, but it was just the fact he didn't believe me.
Yeah. Well, I read an interview. It wasn't with John Bonham. It was with somebody that was on the tour when Vanilla Fudge and Led Zeppelin toured together. So that was what, 69, I think, right?
68.
68. And
Yeah.
I don't know,
69.
it was somebody in management. It could have been Peter Grant. I'm not sure, but he said when Vanilla Fudge, when you guys were playing, John Bonham would stand and watch you play the entire set every night.
And he went back home, and him and Cozy Pals were friends. And Cozy said, "How was it? Standing there, watching Vanilla Fudge and Carmine." And he said, "Oh man, he's been amazing." And they would, and it was in a book called Thunder with Drums. Before that, I'm talking about this. People think I'm egoed out. You influenced John Bonham, the fuck out of here. Like all of a sudden, John Bonham was God. He came from nowhere. Instantly he was God. He wasn't instantly God. It took him a while. But I mean, on that first show with Vanilla Fudge in December 26, 1968, I'll never forget it. It was the day after Christmas. The promoter didn't want them on the show. We had the same agent. He pestered them until they agreed. It was $1,500 for Led Zeppelin. They didn't want him. He said, "I'll tell you what, you pay $750, and Vanilla Fudge will pay $750 because we were making big money at the time." So we paid $750 for them to play on their very first show with us, where they got booed somewhat on the stage, and they never paid us back with interest. But it's like, and then they became so monstrous, it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe.
But I think if anybody listens to those Vanilla Fudge albums or sees, that performance, they'll recognize your influence on John Bonham immediately.
Well, one of the biggest honors I had with that was Steve Smith, who's a great drummer, played with Journey.
Yeah.
Tremendous drummer. He called me up one time, that's a long time ago. He said, "You know what?" I said, "What?" He goes, "I just finished listening to Renaissance Vanilla Fudge album, and everything John Bonham is on that record." I said, "Thank you, man. I really appreciate that."
Yeah, you can definitely hear that influence for sure. So speaking of influence, so I know in your formative years when you were a young drummer, you were heavily influenced by Buddy Rich and Krupa, these swinging jazz musicians. Do you recall, like, what was the album or the rock drummer where you said, "I want to do that"? Do you remember, like, kind of?
Yeah. It was their album.
Oh, okay.
Cooper and Rich together.
Okay, nice.
The people say, "What was your first album?" They expect me to say the Beatles.
All right.
So I said, "Cooper and Rich." I said, "Really?" I said, "The Beatles weren't even around yet. When the Beatles came out, I thought they sucked."
Yeah.
I was playing R&B with horns and stuff. And they were going, "I want to hold your hand." We used to put on Beatle wigs at gigs and sing dirty versions of the Beatles songs. "Listen, do-da-do, let me stick it in your ear," with Beatle wigs on. It was a goof. Because that's what we thought of them in those days.
Right.
As I got older now, I look at how great the songwriting was.
Yeah.
And the way the playing was for the song, But when I was, 17, 18 years old, and they came out, I said, "This is crap." I want to hear like James Brown, "Papa's Got a Brand New Bag," "Midnight Hour," all the stuff on Motown. That's what we used to play with the horns and stuff. That was the killer stuff, not this 3-chord guitar shit. And they did, Twist and Shout. There's such a white version of Twist and Shout.
Yeah.
After hearing, like the originals. Was that original? That was the Isley Brothers, I think, right?
Yeah, you're right. Isley.
Yeah, I mean, we hear their version, like,
oh, it's
great. Sweet. Yeah, ooh, baby, baby, come on, the Miracles,
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
I mean, that was the stuff. When I heard them do it, I said, man, this is so soulful, unsoulful, like soulless,
Yeah.
you know? But then when we were working on Vanilla Fudge, you know, we called the Pigeons. We were playing gigs, and we started to do these arrangements, smoking pot, you know, and the album we started listening to was Revolver.
Oh, okay.
And that's when, even the album before that with Day Tripper, I say from Day Tripper on, that's when the Beatles started being like, wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
to all of us, not just little girls, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And that Revolver album doing backwards drums and you know,
Yeah. Much more music.
great.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't even know the titles now. Eleanor Rigby,
Oh.
you know, when Vanilla Fudge did Eleanor Rigby, I mean,
Oh,
we
that's
took what the lyrics said, like, keep me hanging on. They go, set me free, why don't you, babe? Get out of my life, why don't you know? If you're in that situation with a woman or a man, that's really emotional.
yeah.
You know, set me free. I'm really hurting here. Get out of here. Leave me alone. That's emotional. So when we slowed it down, Tim and Mark heard it on the radio and said, we should do this, slow down. And we did. And it came out unbelievable. Every time we played that live, people would gather in front of the stage,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they would watch us instead of try to dance back in those days. You know, and then we did Eleanor Rigby, all about a cemetery. She lived in the church, blah, blah, blah. So we created an eerie concept for the song,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and you
People
made,
get ready,
yeah.
gospel,
Oh, yeah. Great stuff. Oh.
you know? So that's how we approach different songs, you know?
Well, and I mean, one, you made it heavier, but also, yeah, just much more emotional. Became very emotive songs.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
And we played
Mark-
loud, we played with bigger amps, you know, like reason I played like that Animal on the Ed Sullivan Show, because they all had big amps. Mark had twin Leslie's powered by 600 watts. All I had was my bass drum. I had a 26-inch bass drum, which was the biggest bass drum in rock at the time.
Wow.
You know, and when I got my Ludwig kit, I got everything bigger. You know, I got everything bigger because bigger, louder.
Yeah.
All right. So that's what John Bonham saw. He saw that big drum set and he got the exact same kit. And I remember talking to Ludwig, I think they're going to be big. That was an understatement of what, 7 decades, 6 decades, you know? But, you know, that's the way it was back then. There was no mics for drums. You play live. We played with Jimi Hendrix in a 10, 12,000 seater. I got myself 2 dual Showman amplifiers with a little Shaw mixer.
Oh,
Right? And I plugged my mic. I had Shure mics at like 2 bass drums, a snare, and probably an overhead. Plugged it into the Shure mixer. I put the drum amplifier up near the front, near the voice of the theaters was a PA. Had a guy on the side of the stage with knobs. And he'd run out and listen to it, come back and push the knob. It's crazy. And then I remember Mitch Mitchell go, could I use your drum amps? I go, sure. So he used my drum amps, you know, but you know, everything was experimental, you know.
Yeah, revolutionary.
It was great. It was great. Looking back on it, it was great. It wasn't a business yet. We all played, had fun. We go Rick hotel rooms, had groupies all over. You know, limos, we'd land, we had flights, we'd land, limos pick us up, promoter paid for it, go to a hotel. The truck with our gear would be loaded right from the belly of the plane onto the truck to the gig. Unloaded with the roadies, packed up, done. Next morning, back to the airport, give Skycap $100. The truck would go on the runway right into the belly of the plane, unload all the gear.
Wow.
Can you imagine doing that today? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it was great fun. It was, and we have 30, 40 people on one plane. Now the big acts, they have their own plane.
Right. Yeah.
You know? I mean, it wasn't that big back then, but we made big money, which if you times it by 10 today, is good money, big money, because everything was cheaper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys ruled the world, you know.
Yeah, we did. We ruled everywhere. We when we broke up, we were due to go to Japan for one gig for 15 grand.
Oh, wow.
That was like $150,000 gig.
Yeah.
You know, for today, by today.
Yeah.
You know?
That's Yeah.
I mean, today you go to a concert, you pay how much? $13,000 for a ticket? Get out of here.
Yeah, it's insane.
Who the hell has that kind of money? What do? You work a day job and you got 13 grand to go see Kiss?
Yeah.
One ticket?
Yeah.
What if you want to bring your girlfriend?
Yeah.
26 grand? I mean,
yeah, it's obscene.
My friend's going to see Billy Joel next month. $1,000 a ticket, and it's not even close.
That's insanity.
And you got to fly up there from here. Yeah, fly up there, hotel, flight, $1,000 a ticket there, 3-4 days. Next thing you know, it's like $6,000 to go see Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he started with us with Vanilla Fudge. He was in a group called the Hasses.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, you're totally right. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, with inflation, it still doesn't. It's still obscene.
No, so I have another show called I work with Vanilla Fudge, Cactus, and I got my other show, Tonight's the Night, A True Rod Experience. I got a guy. Well, he's been doing this forever. I kind of joined his show and we became partners. And he looks like Rod, sounds like Rod, sings like Rod, has all the moves that Rod had, walking up and down the stage, gets down on his feet, gets the audience singing. And he draws people, like the first show I went to see with him, he had over 1,000 people. And they brought me out just to play the songs that I was famous for with Rod. Audience loved it. They went crazy. Then that day he said, we should be partners. I said, yeah, let's do it. Because I wanted to play those songs again. I never get to play them.
Yeah.
So now I'm playing them. We got 15 gigs right now till the end of the year, probably more being added. I've got gigs with Cactus. I got some gigs with the Fudge,
Yeah,
so I'm having a good time.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, in fact, there's the day that the new album's released, I think you play with Foghat.
Yeah, we're playing with Foghat.
Pat Travers, right?
And Pat Travers, and that's unique because they're the guys that I looked to when I saw they were on the blues charts.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's funny. I'm friends with them. So we've been working out to do gigs, but it's coincidental. It's the gig our album gets released.
Nice. Yeah, Roger Earl's a wonderful human being.
He's a good guy, and his wife Linda manages him. Yeah, she's great too.
Yeah, great people.
We went out to dinner with him, me and my wife down here in Florida. And we had a great time. And at that point, we said we got to do gigs with Cactus and Foghat. It took a while to get it.
That's a dream lineup for me. I got to.
Yeah, it is. It is a great lineup. And Pat Travers on there. I might sit in with Pat, doing Boom Boom Out Goes the Lights, which I always do when I play with him.
Nice.
So I used to play well. We had 2 albums we did together, and we toured Europe, we toured America, we did a DVD, live albums and everything. It's beautiful, man. I love Pat.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to go see him. I think it's next weekend. Down here in Florida.
Nice. Yeah, it takes a lot of balls. Is one of my favorite albums.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Fantastic.
I love that album. I loved
you. Yeah.
I love that album. I mean, that first song, better from a distance.
Oh.
I wrote all the lyrics and the melody. We had the track, and I'm thinking about. I thought about Keith Moon driving that Rolls Royce into the pool.
Yeah.
That line.
Yeah.
And like the parents talking to the girl who I'm going out with per se, as I'm the guy that he looks better from a distance, but he looks better from afar. But don't get involved with him, kind of thing, Yeah. But I loved the way it came out. I sang it, and man, I loved it. And you said the next album we did was I forgot the name of it. We had this. Come on, what's the name of it, dude?
Yeah, I can't think of it either.
Yeah, they had a song called "Disappear" on it.
Oh, great song!
And what a cool song.
Yeah.
I mean, all those songs. I like that one reggae-ish song that I wrote, and it was like a reggae.
Yeah.
And then it goes into a shuffle, and man, there was some cool stuff on it. The stuff Pat brought to the table, I can't remember any of the actual titles now, but every one of them. And then we did that one was like a down ding 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 like that song.
Yeah.
I can't remember that title either.
I can't.
But it was so good. If that album came out earlier in our career when you had real big labels and promotion and videos, that would have done great.
Yeah, it would have been a huge.
And then it was actually called "It Takes a Lot of Balls,"
Yeah.
right? And we did it for a European label, and the European label didn't do much with it, you
Mm.
know. So then it kind of died, and the guy that Cleopatra, the president, Brian Pereiro said, you know, I got the rights back to that. I told him, he said, well, let's do it again. Let's re-release it. Let's add a couple of songs. So we added that Barry White song that Pat wanted. Right? You know, is that the same album you're talking about, or you're talking about It Takes a Lot of Balls?
Yeah, It Takes a Lot of Balls, and I bought it when it came out on CD.
Okay, so
I
we
special
did another version calling it the
I
Balls
don't have-
album,
Oh, okay. I don't have that.
and we added a song that I wrote called Tonight, which is really cool, and then a song that he wanted to do, the Barry White song,
Okay.
you know, because he has a low voice, and we did that. You should check it out. It's really
Yeah,
fun.
I need to get a copy of that.
Yeah, just look at it on YouTube. You can hear it. But you know, I had so much fun playing with Pat, and I thought at the time these albums, because they were some of the best stuff he's done in a long time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stuff, you know, a lot of the guys that do these albums, they just don't have the drums sounding like drums anymore. They sound like you're playing your couch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like the bass drum's like, not even that. It was a pillow. I don't even have a pillow. But you hit the hand on it like a couch, and it sounds like a couch. The toms sound like that, and the snare sounds like that too. But when we did, I mean, for me, playing with him was almost like playing with Jeff Beck, because he had his sounds together. He played great slide, great leads, everything, and he sang great.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, and he plays on your new album too. He plays on the new Cactus album. Right?
Yes, he did, and we played. I had him play the slide on that because I said, "Man, I want your slide on that track." And then when we go into the band, you just play. You know, he said, "Okay, no problem." We're like good friends, you know, really good friends. And I hooked him up with my manager. He took him over, and he was really down in the dumps when he took him over, and he's brought him way up again in the you know, money per night for gigs, and getting them really good gigs and cruises and all this good stuff.
Oh, good. Oh, that's great.
So,
Do you think you two would ever do another album together?
I would like to, you know, maybe I'll talk to Brian. Maybe we'll do a Travers Appice record and get some guests on it.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great.
I loved it because it was TNA. That's fucking beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I did a record with Derringer. It was called DNA.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
In the 80s. And then I did a record with Derringer with Tim Bogert. And then it was TBA,
Yeah.
you know, doing business as, you know, it all had TNA, DNA like DNA, and then the doing business. That's funny.
Yeah, I love that. That is great.
And I listened to that record though, and I was just in my our house in St. Martin. I was in the gym, and I came up on my phone. Let me listen. I haven't heard in a while. It was a freaking really good record. Rick played great on it. Matter of fact, I got to call him back. He called during one of my interviews a couple hours ago. I got to call him back.
Nice.
But
other great music.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy. You know, knock on wood. I play with some great guys.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, that BBA live box set that came out. I don't know if you heard that, but that was like on fire.
Yeah.
That is on fire. And Jeff was playing, and Tim and me, we're just young guys. We were on fire.
Yeah.
We didn't even know what we were doing, but man, that's the last time you ever heard Jeff Beck play like that.
Yeah.
Because right after that was Blow by Blow, which I was on. That's another story.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You got to read my book. Stick
yes.
My Life for Sex, Drums, and Rock and Roll.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the book. Yeah, I was. Yeah,
you'll get all the dirt, including all the sexual crazy stuff we did. And I sell it at my gigs now, and they go, you know, when a woman comes up, oh, sex, drums, and rock and roll. I said, look, this book is X-rated.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, great, and they buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
My writer told me that. I said, maybe take some of that out, because let me tell you something. Middle-aged woman loves this. And he's right. He's right. But it's all crazy, some crazy sex things we did, including that mud shark that was so famous, that story.
The mud shark, yeah.
That's in there. It's the real story of the mud shark. You can't believe it in that book. But there's also all the great stories, how I got Rod and Jeff Beck back together, and how we did People Get Ready, and how I was involved in Blow by Blow. And that's just, you know, my tentacles just go all over the place, you know.
Oh,
but it's all true. It's all true. People think I'm full of shit, but
No.
God strike me down if it isn't.
Yeah.
You
No.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. That is. Oh, that's amazing. That's great.
you
Yeah.
got to read the book. You got to
Yeah.
read the book. You know?
Definitely. Yeah.
And I open up with the story about how I got fired from Ozzy.
Oh, you do. Oh, nice. I would.
That itself is a book.
Yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure. Oh, yeah. There's some. I'm sure there's some crazy stuff there. And
I
I know.
mean, my wife has a chapter in there, and she won't even read the book
Oh no.
because of all the sexual crazy shit. Yeah, I told my daughter not to read the book either. And I
Probably.
have friends of mine that read the book. I said, so we're going to read it. I said, well, I don't change your attitude towards me after you read the book.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think people realize the vanilla fudge and cactus days, especially like you and Tim, like I've heard some crazy stories about you guys. Like you put, because you hear the stories of bands like, Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and, some of their antics, but you guys, I mean, they're amateurs compared to,
Well, but we used to know Pink Floyd when they were little. We used to do gigs with them in England and stuff. But, we broke a lot of bands in, Three Dog Night,
oh yeah.
Sly and the Family Stone. Here's something for you. That's the bass playing the way they do this now with the slapping, they call it.
Mhm.
Well, I think it started with Tim,
Oh, okay.
right? Because the first guy that did it was Larry Graham,
Okay.
right? And they used to play with Vanilla Fudge, and Tim used to hit the bass with his thumb like that. And he used to pull the strings, right? And they created a sound.
Yeah.
And I believe, I may be wrong, that Larry took that concept and came up with that. That stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I may be wrong, but I
I
know Tim
agree.
was doing this before anybody was
Yeah.
playing with their thumb.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. Definitely. Um, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you have
Yes, I got to
busy
go
day,
soon. Yeah.
but I was curious about this is kind of off topic, but I was curious about, kind of your start in music. Did you come from a musical family? Kind of how did that all
The
start
only
for you?
the only music was my cousin Joey was a drummer. I was number 2. My
Okay.
cousin Frankie was number 3. His brother was number 4. My cousin Tommy was number 5. My brother was number 6, and my son plays a little.
Oh, okay.
That's the only music
Okay.
in the
Interesting.
family. So, we used to go, we're Italian family, go to my cousin Joey's house. I'd get on his drums and play. I was young. Come home banging the pots and pans, got toy drum sets, broke them. And finally, when I was about 12, my parents said, do you want to really do this? Fine. We went to Sam Ash, bought my first real drum set, $55.
Oh, wow.
Right. And then, I worked my first gig, I paid $7. And then I worked a little through my life. I made money. By the time I was 17, I had a new drum set. My parents bought me for my birthday and Christmas, which are close. And then I played more and more. And by the time I was 17, I had enough money to buy myself a brand new 64 Chevy Super Sport, 327, 4 on the floor when I was 17.
Nice.
And then it just continued. But my other members of the family kept playing, but some of them faded out. My cousin Frankie almost was in Little Feat.
Oh,
I almost got him in Little Feat. They were going to bring him in, and then Richie came back. But that's the closest anyone got.
gotcha. And then of
But
course
they all played. They all played. They're still playing. At
Oh, good.
home and stuff. My
that's
son don't play. He has the talent, but when me and Vinny were doing drum wars, we were rehearsing upstairs. I had a room in California, had a loft, and we used to play up there. And we were practicing. My son was watching me and Vinny practice. Writing out the drum things. And we went down to my kitchen, get something to drink. All of a sudden, I hear go, double bass drums going. And I said to Vinny, who the hell's that? He goes, I don't know. I said, somebody come in? We miss him? I don't know. So we go upstairs. My son's on the drums.
Oh, nice.
Got his iPhone on, headset on, and he's playing to something. So I tell him, I said, where'd you learn that? He says, when I drive in the car, I do it. I play on the dashboard, my feet and everything. I said, wow. But he's a medical interventional radiology tech doing very well.
Wow.
One time, and I thought after that, I said, well, maybe you want to learn. I'll give you some lessons. I'll leave the drum book home and the drum pad and your sticks, and I'll come back in a month and see what you're doing. I went back in a month. It was sitting in the same place I left it. dusty.
Huh.
He didn't touch it. So I said, forget it. I thought maybe it was me. You want to give your uncle to give you lessons? He says, nah, Dad, I'm okay.
Huh.
I said, all right.
Maybe
But
someday.
he's got the talent, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. It
My
sounds.
daughter used to sing, and she's 12. She sang Star Spangled Banner at a basketball game, like the Lakers or something, you know.
Oh wow.
And my friend used to make their shirts. He said, you know, your daughter sings. Maybe I can get her to sing that. So he did. Yeah, and at a hockey game in New York, she did. And my son got a huge Lakers shirt. And he was like 8, 9 years old, or 10 years old. It was like a dress on him. And he had that whole dream team sign it.
Oh, nice.
Derek, was it Derek? I forgot, man.
Yeah.
Toby, Shock, you know, all those guys. That dream team, they call it. Everyone signed it.
Nice.
So now he's got to get it framed and put it in his house.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he should get that behind
It's
glass.
worth a lot of money.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, he's got to get that behind glass for sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, Carmine, this has been truly an honor.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
And a real pleasure chatting with you. So for everybody watching, if you look in the description below, I've got a link to Carmine's pages, as well as there's a link to the Cleopatra page. So
there's a brand new Cactus page going up next week, cactusrocks.net. There's one there now, but we're redoing it. And I just redid my website, carmineappice.com or .net.
Nice.
And my web guy did a great job.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll have
anybody needs a website, check him out.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll have links for that, and I'll have a direct link to the Cleopatra page so people can pre-order the new album, the Cactus album. It is, wait until you hear it, everybody. It's phenomenal. It's definitely a top 10 album of the year for me. It's
great.
Incredible.
Thank you.
It's really incredible. Sincerely, it's really incredible. And then of course you've got a show coming up with the Mighty Foghat as well as Pat Travers, and that's June 7th. So keep an eye out for that, everybody, and check that out.
And how it goes around, Foghat opened up for BBA.
Oh, cool.
At the beginning of their career.
Nice. Oh, that's great. Full circle. Full circle.
Man, it's all good.
That is great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, bro.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
See you.